Welcome back to the IBFP. Here's your host, Boxing New.
Canelo rehydration clause and catch weight? Look, let's break it down honestly and objectively as possible. In the boxing realm has asked a question, and he states, how would the LDBC and pro-black media channels react if Canelo did a rehydration clause and a catch weight on David Benavidez in Dimitri Bivol rematch like Gervonta did? Would there be outrage? Now, this is an excellent question, and we'll stop it with David Benavidez. We'll just go forward with that. If Canelo Alvarez put a rehydration clause and a catch weight on David Benavidez, would there be outrage? Would people be upset? Would people go crazy? You see all of these racist, biased channels already saying that Tank Davis is the face of boxing. They're saying he's the biggest star in boxing. They're saying he's the number one guy, even above Canelo. This is what they're saying. And when you look at David Benavidez, this guy is a natural cruiserweight. There's no way in hell naturally he belongs at 168 pounds. That just doesn't make sense. If you understand boxing, you understand that. So even with that being said, if Canelo Alvarez turned around and put a catch weight and a rehydration clause on David Benavidez, would there be outrage? Absolutely. The world would melt down. All of these biased, hating-ass channels, race-baiting channels would destroy Canelo's reputation. They would sit out here and slander this man day and night simply for doing what Tank Davis has done, which is completely unacceptable. But they will praise Tank and hate Canelo. And look, let me give you an example. Canelo Alvarez had a rehydration clause against Danny Jacobs. And when he did, Boxing Ego had non-stop coverage, around-the-clock coverage of Canelo Alvarez and Danny Jacobs talking about this rehydration clause. He kept talking about how Canelo Alvarez was a coward, how he didn't want to fight this guy at his best, how Canelo Alvarez was looking for an easy way or an advantage to have over Danny Jacobs. And this was only a rehydration clause. It wasn't like Tank Davis, who has a rehydration clause and a catch weight. And you have to understand that Danny Jacobs didn't even follow the rehydration clause. He came in heavy. But yet, Canelo Alvarez, when you look online, there's literally video after video, live streams, constant bombardment of slander about Canelo Alvarez and his rehydration clause. And Danny Jacobs, he was a world champion. We can't forget this. Now, on the other hand, you see Tank Davis, and you see Boxing Ego barely has even addressed this issue. He only has 2 videos on his channel talking about a rehydration clause with Tank Davis. And both of those videos are justifying those stipulations. The first one saying, well, Tank Davis is an A-side, so it's okay that he has a catch weight and a rehydration clause. Well, Canelo was the A-side to Danny Jacobs. Why didn't you keep that same energy with Tank Davis that you did with Canelo Alvarez? It doesn't make any sense. If Tank's an A-side and that's a justification for it, then why don't you keep the same energy with Canelo? It doesn't make any sense. And then he has further justification saying, well, Ryan Garcia is on weight so far, so it's not an issue. So there should be no complaints. But you were complaining nonstop. Even though Danny Jacobs missed the weight, you still complain. You still blamed Canelo. You still slandered this man's name. And Canelo Alvarez still fought Danny Jacobs and beat his ass. So at the end of the day, you see that these black, biased, racist, hating-ass channels is going to slander Canelo Alvarez no matter what. They're going to give Tank Davis a pass no matter what, because what Tank Davis is doing is egregious. He's setting multiple clauses on Ryan Garcia, a guy who's never been a world champion, while Canelo Alvarez gets slandered and thrown in the mud. If Canelo did this now to David Benavidez, these guys would have a meltdown. They would call him a coward. They would say that he just wants to drain David Benavidez. They would call him every name in the book while praising Tank Davis, giving him a pass, and looking the other way. Because men lie, women lie, but the facts don't lie.